and say good morning to Mike Seidel. And Mike, we've seen some of those pictures of those tornadoes, some crossing right over Interstate 80, but also doing quite a bit of damage there in Elkhorn, and amazingly, no deaths from yesterday's tornadoes.
Yes, it is amazing, and all we've heard is some minor injuries. We're in Elkhorn. This is about 30 minutes west on Highway 6, basically, from downtown Omaha. And the Weather Service in Omaha yesterday, they did a bang-up job. They issued 42 tornado warnings. That's the most a National Weather Service Forecast Office has issued in 5 years. And one of those was for this area. It went out at 3:05, which included this area, and the tornado hit at 3:39. So the residents here had a 34-minute lead time on the warning, not to say the watch was out hours earlier. Let's bring in Tricia Schmidt. She's one of the residents here who was not at home when the twister hit, and just tell us a little bit about what you went through at work yesterday afternoon.
Well, at work, we thought it was coming that way. We heard all the alerts and things, too, and we took shelter at work. And then after a little while, I started hearing from friends out this way that it hit this neighborhood. And luckily, I had a contact information of the neighbor and found out she was okay, but she let us know all the houses were leveled. So.
Including yours.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about the house that you told me earlier you just moved in 2 months ago.
I just moved in February, and it was a flip, and it was beautiful. Nice, interior and everything, and I'd gotten it just like I wanted and stuff. So now we're just going to figure out what we can find and save and move on from there.
Well, that's the spirit, and you have homeowners insurance.
Oh, yes. I talked to them already.
And what's the thought about where your personal belongings, your mementos are? Are they back here in the woods, or you think they're safe and sound under the debris here?
I don't know. There's a lot of debris that way. There's no telling. I've already found pictures from other people. I think some of their pictures and things, so we'll just, I guess I'll collect things together and try to put it together and give things back to the people they belong to as we go.
And how long after the tornado did you get out here?
I didn't get up here until probably about 4:45 yesterday, but they had a gas leak, and so they weren't letting anyone in. And then another band of rain came in, and it was hailing and raining, and we took shelter in a church across the road. And then I didn't get to see this last night. I just had a couple people send me pictures, so this is my first in-person look at it.
Oh, gosh. Well, you seem to be in pretty good spirits this morning.
Well, what are you going to do?
What are you going to do? And you're fine. No scratches. You've got your vehicle.
Right.
And your kids were fine. They weren't home.
My kids weren't home. They were at school, and the school did a great job and kept them there.
Yeah, I saw that. A lot of schools here locally held the kids because it hit here 3:45 as they would normally be getting out and getting on buses.
Yeah, so that was really great, I think, for their safety. And, a lot of us just said as long as it didn't hurt too many people and it wasn't in the middle of the night. If this had happened in the middle of the night, I don't even want to know what would have happened.
It would have been a lot worse.
Yeah, our bedrooms would have been like right here. So,
Thankfully, daytime. Hey,
yeah.
Tricia, thanks for joining us.
Thanks.
And good luck with the cleanup and getting back into the home that you had made perfect.
Thank you.
Okay, Tricia Schmidt from here in Elkhorn. I want to show you right here, Paul Goodlow, we've got this mason wall that was blown down. They've got 5 survey crews out today from the Weather Service, Paul, in Omaha. They're going to do some initial surveying, give us maybe a preliminary data point and give us some information later today, but it may be a couple of days before we find out if this twister was on the ground along track 1, because I did the measurement from Lincoln across the river into Iowa, and we're talking 50+ miles, Paul. It remains to be seen if that verifies, but boy, these things were on the ground for a long, long time yesterday.
Yeah, it was. Fortunately, again, that part of the country, they had the warning, they know the drill, and no one lost their life. We'll talk to you momentarily there in Elkhorn, Nebraska. Let's head to Elkhorn, Nebraska. Our meteorologist Mike Seidel was there. Mike, you kind of overnighted in Omaha on Thursday night into Friday, knowing that Omaha, that part of eastern Nebraska, could be the bullseye for activity, and it was.
Yeah, it turned out to be the bullseye by far. The Weather Service in Omaha Valley, Nebraska, they put out 42 tornado warnings. I mentioned earlier the most any Weather Service office has put out in 5 years, so they were very busy. And some of these are going to end up being long-track tornadoes. The parent supercell with this one started down in Lincoln, and the tornado came through this way. And you can see these are just volunteers out here. These aren't people that own this house. They're just trying to do some basic cleanup as much as they can do, hand over hand. That's about it. They don't have any heavy machinery out here yet. We haven't even heard any chainsaws. What I want to show you, though, is Charles Peak. He was here right after the tornado touched down around 3:45 Central Time. The warning came out at 3:04 from the Weather Service, and the watch was out a few hours earlier. And look at the overhead view of this damage. This is the Ramblewood subdivision, about a half an hour west of downtown Omaha, and you get a sense of what happened here. EF-2, maybe EF-3 damage. Weather Service from Omaha has 5 survey crews. One will be way out in central Nebraska near Grand Island. The others are going to be in this area, either side of the river, and either in Nebraska or Iowa. And up here, we've got a huge turnout here, volunteers, and no doubt probably some of the property owners, what we're told, that own this house that was hit. You can see the insides of the second floor. So there's damage everywhere here in Elkhorn. We'll come back and talk to some more of the homeowners throughout the morning. Meanwhile, tornado watch is up right now for parts of Oklahoma and Texas. It's going to be a very serious day. This is the damage from Charles Peak, the drone video aloft over Elkhorn. We are about a half an hour west of downtown Omaha. Twister came through here yesterday around 3:45. They had a long lead time, over 30 minutes. So a lot of folks were able to get to safety. But the good thing, if there is any good news here, is it hit at 3:30, 4 o'clock. A lot of people were working, were not home. If this had hit in the middle of the night, it would have been a lot worse, and no doubt we would have probably had fatalities. So far, just minor injuries. Let's bring in Abby, who's a teacher at the nearby high school, and give us, Abby, a sense of what you were doing at the time, because I know the schools were watching this closely too.
Yeah. I was teaching Romeo and Juliet to my freshmen at the time, and we got a call over the intercom to shelter, and we went down to our shelter, and I was with a few hundred students and watching the radar on a laptop, and kept seeing my neighborhood on the radar.
So you had a pretty good feeling that, unfortunately, that this twister came and knocked on your door.
Yeah, I had a pretty bad feeling near the end. I even said to a couple of my fellow teachers, like, I'm not sure I have a house to go home to.
So you've got your home, what's left of it, you have insurance, you don't have a scratch, you've got a vehicle, so there's a lot to be thankful for.
Yeah, I found a few mementos, some scrapbooks, the quilt my grandma made me, but yeah, I pretty much just have the clothes on my back and my car.
And you have friends and family you can stay with.
I've never felt so loved by my friends, my family, students that have reached out to me, the Elkhorn community.
Well, just looking around, there are literally 100, 150 or more volunteers just within eyesight that have come out here to help folks they don't even know clean up.
Yep. I've seen people that I don't know stop by, ask me what I need. People I do know, one of my students walked by too, and
okay.
It's really nice to see the community wanting to help out.
We see this time and time again. Abby Majors, we're glad you're okay, and we also appreciate you being a teacher these days. Romeo and Juliet,
yes,
huh?
You know?
Wow.
What a day.
What a day. Thanks for joining us, and take care of yourself. There you go. Once again, emphasizing the fact that a lot of people were not home when this twister hit here yesterday afternoon. Coming in from the southwest over the hills, we followed this parent supercell for a long time, more than an hour, as it first put a tornado down near Lincoln, just outside of Lincoln, Nebraska. And the survey crews are out right now. There's 5 crews, and they're going to look at all the damage. We may not get a final report for several days, so we may not know how long this tornado was on the ground, but it was certainly a long track twister, and it was amazing how long we had live pictures in this day and age with internet, Paul, out there in the rural areas, how long we carried a live picture of even multiple twisters yesterday afternoon and yesterday evening here on the Weather Channel. We'll go back to Paul now. He's down there in the Norman, Oklahoma City area. No stranger to 5s and EF-5s. Hopefully that is not the case today.
Yes, especially this time of the year, Mike. Again, late April, early May. One, well, definitely did some major damage just outside of Omaha. I want to bring in my colleague Mike Seidel, who's in Elkhorn, Nebraska this morning. And Mike, that storm, you had plenty of warning for it, and perhaps that was a reason we're not waking up with tragedy this morning.
And the other reason is it hit at 3:45 in the afternoon. Everybody we've talked to so far was not home. We're going to try to find someone who maybe was home, but that keeps people out of harm's way. Schools held their students. We just talked to Abby Majors, who owns this home. We'll show you in a minute inside it. And she said they stayed at the school about 45 minutes longer than they typically do, and they sheltered in place. But get a sense of what happened yesterday afternoon as a tornado came over that ridge over there, coming in from the southwest. It was moving at about 40 to 45 miles an hour. The warning came out at 3:04. The tornado first touched down here based on the SPC report at 3:43. So that's, what is that, 30 or 3:39 rather. So that's about 35 minutes of lead time. And, you know, the watch came out several hours before that. But this is a total loss, just blown down. I'm thinking we're going to have at least low-end EF-3 damage, maybe higher. That puts the winds at above 135 miles an hour. So the Weather Service is out surveying all these areas right now, and hopefully we'll have some idea of what we're looking at as we get on through later this afternoon, some preliminary report. Damage as far as the eye can see. Up on the hill, no damage, as the tornado was farther to the left, screen left, as it came through here. And then we come up here. Let's go to Abby's home. Total loss. She has insurance. She's fine. She was in school, sheltering in place with her students. She was teaching English. She was in the middle of teaching some Romeo and Juliet. And let's look inside her house and give you an idea of what it looks like. And as she told us, she lost hundreds of English books. She's an English teacher. And just debris down here under the second floor, which is gone, down here in the kind of the split level, and just a pile of rubble, just the steel beams. Just heartbreaking, but again, the best news of all yesterday, as far as we know, just minor injuries, no serious injuries. At least a couple of people did go to the hospital, but things turned out very good from that perspective. But look across the skyline here, and all you see is damage. In the distance, you can see the trees where they were sheared off. Weather Service in Omaha having a very busy day. 42 tornado warnings, the most a Weather Service office has issued in 5 years. So a very busy day here in Nebraska, across the river in Iowa. And Paul, we had the streams on. It was just amazing to watch her coverage. And I think we had a live tornado or tornadoes live on the Weather Channel for 3-4 hours yesterday. I've never seen that before. Of course, now with the high-speed internet and more coverage, it's easier to get those pictures to our viewers.
Yeah, it's great technology, and hopefully it's great warning that more people see it, and then they text or call loved ones and say, hey, get away as soon as you can, seek shelter. We'll check back in with Mike Seidel from Elkhorn, Nebraska, just to the west of Omaha, coming up a little bit later. Let's head to Elkhorn, Nebraska, just to the west of Omaha, where Mike Seidel is. And Mike, lots of damage there in that neighborhood. I was watching some of the drone pictures from our storm tracker, Charles Peak. Some of these homes have been leveled.
They have, and we just saw the National Weather Service. They're making their first stop here this morning. They've got a long way to go. They're going to have to put drones up to figure out if this was a long track and how long this twister was on the ground. The supercell was around from Lincoln all the way past here into Iowa. So on the ground, while the supercell was around for several hours, 3 to 4 hours. You can see the large turnout. I mean, I've rarely seen this many folks all around this neighborhood in Englewood, Elkton. Sorry about that. Yep. About an hour, about 30 minutes to an hour west of Omaha. And we want to bring in Jeff Simons, who owns this house right here. And you typically would be upstairs working from home, but what was the status yesterday?
Well, yesterday with the storm coming in, my wife's a high school educator, teaches here in the local district, and she has a nice car, so we kept that at home. So I took her to school, and so around 3 o'clock I had to go pick her up. And about the time I got to school, she got sheltered in place with the students. So I had to go find shelter as well. And while that's going on, I could watch the tornado just come across. And 20 minutes into it, I knew our house was gone. So yeah, 27 years, and this is the first claim I've ever had on this place. It's been such great weather here.
Well, the insurance company loves you. Well, they did.
Yes.
Okay, let's talk about who was home.
Oh, man, we had a 7-pound Yorkie, Buzz. He's a great guy, and so I left him on the couch on the west wall of the house, which is no longer there. And when we finally got through and walked in from the church, we couldn't find him, yelling, crawling through the house, moving debris. And my wife had took a picture of me crawling in, and in the bottom left corner of the picture was our dog. He got swept around the house and into our window well, and it was covered with a pillow and a piece of particle board. So he's healthy and fine, and everything turned out great.
And he's getting treats this morning from the family, right?
Yes, Grandma's taking care of him.
Jeff, we got a heart out here. Thanks so much.
Appreciate it, sir.
Glad you're happy and healthy, and your wife's fine.
Thanks everybody from Elkhorn. It's amazing.
Okay, we'll continue our coverage from Elkhorn and more on today's upcoming tornado outbreak.
Yesterday, especially in Nebraska, and head to meteorologist Mike Seidel. He was in Elkhorn, Nebraska. And Mike, you were stationed already in Omaha because we knew that area would be active. In fact, the local weather service office there, they issued 42 warnings, the most in quite some years.
5 years since another weather service office was this busy with warnings, and rightfully so. These are long track. We don't know how long the track is. We'll find out hopefully in the next couple of days. Weather service is out here. They're going to use drones to figure out, because the parent supercell was around for 3 to 4 hours. Let's bring in Corey and Julie Henningsen. They're the homeowners here, and a couple of folks that were home. Many people in this neighborhood were at work or at school. You were home. Just tell us what happened yesterday after the warning came out. That came out around 3:04. The tornado hit about 40 minutes later.
We were just watching on the weather on TV, and then we went outside and started looking at it. Just when we're from around here, when you get tornado sirens, we go outside. That's how I kind of grew up, so we kind of go outside and look. And then it started happening all fast, and we went running back inside and hit shelter and held on to each other.
Did you happen to see the twister?
We saw it, and it just sounded like a train coming straight towards us, just a big black cloud. And so we booked it down to the basement, the storage room we had. Didn't even have enough time to shut the door behind us, so we just grabbed on and hoped for the best, and could just feel the debris at my back, hitting me in the back, just everything coming down.
Well, it was moving at 40 to 45 miles an hour, so it's coming from this direction. You didn't have much time to get to safety.
No, we had maybe a minute, if that, if we were lucky.
And then when you came out, what did you see? Did you have to clear debris to get outside?
We came out of the shelter, we looked and saw the top of our house gone, and then our neighbor kid was home, and he came out and made sure we were okay. And they just had to move some doors and debris out of our way and get out.
So you were over here to the left?
To the left, yeah.
As in the back?
In the back.
So you were underground, basically?
Underground, yeah.
Well, that's the place to be.
Yeah.
And have you ever been through a tornado before?
No, this is the first time.
How long have you lived in Nebraska?
My whole life.
Well, that's you're kind of lucky, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
And luckily you're okay.
Yeah.
Any pets at home?
No.
No pets at home?
No pets. No
so
kids.
what's the plan now? You've already had your one of your friends come up here with a bobcat.
And we had some friends with some skid loaders come here and push some debris out of the way and move some of our other stuff. We're still, as you see.
Look at this.
Salvage what we
You
salvage what we
salvaged a
can.
lot of material over here, a lot of bags of clothes. Maybe you can get them in the washer.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, that's our plan. See what we can save, what we have to toss, and then rebuild whenever we're able to.
do you have homeowners insurance?
We do.
Well, that's good, and you're out of here without a scratch, so
Yep.
that's the best thing. You can rebuild. You think you're going to rebuild here? Have you thought about
We
that?
haven't thought about it at this point.
Too early to ask, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Corey.
Thank you very much.
Julie, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
A couple of folks are actually home, and they did the right thing. They heard the warning. They saw it coming just over there, coming over the ridge at 40 miles an hour, and they ducked down in the lowest level in the back wall. That's the place you need to go in a situation like this. Let's go to Paul Goodlow down in Norman. And Paul, Norman, Moore, Oklahoma area is significant because they have had their share of 5s and EF-5 tornadoes in late May, early May. So we're hoping today for the best on your end down there in Oklahoma.
That's right.
Go Big Red.
That's right, Mike. Late April, early May, kind of notorious for big tornadoes here in Oklahoma. So we're here inside the National Weather Center. Let's go up to Elkhorn, Nebraska, to Mike Seidel. Mike, talk about the word just out from the Weather Service office there, potentially maybe an EF-3 or stronger damage around you.
That doesn't surprise me. We mentioned that earlier on the air because we saw a mason block wall that had been blown down. And I mentioned earlier low-end EF-3, 136 miles an hour and higher. I believe that's correct, up to 165. So that does not surprise me at all. But I want to give you a tour. The tornado came from right behind me over the ridge there. And over there's a cemetery. A lot of headstones got blown down, unfortunately. And you can see cars parked up there, damage to a house. It looks like that house has got wiped out over to the right. And then you come up closer, and we're right here in the Ramblewood subdivision. We're about 30 minutes west of downtown Omaha, but not today. Traffic is awful. Remember, if you're not coming out here to volunteer, friends or family, no need to come out here and look at the damage because it's really backing up the roadways. But look at the number of volunteers. I just can't get over it. All my years at the Weather Channel, 30 plus, and I have never ever seen a turnout like this. Granted, the weather is good, and also it's a Saturday. And the good thing here is the tornado hit mid-afternoon. We hardly found anybody that was home. We found 2 people that were home of all the homes we checked yesterday. Everybody was at work or at school. They held the kids at school for safety reasons. And as a result, just some minor injuries. That's all we've heard of here in the Omaha area and across the area with the outbreak, primarily Nebraska and Iowa. Filtered tornado reports I looked earlier up around 100. Now, a lot of those will be duplicates. In fact, the big job the Weather Service is going to have, it's going to be more time consuming, not so much determining the damage scale, but how long track this twister was. They'll be using drones, and from Lincoln across the river, that's more than 60 miles. Was it on the ground for that long or more? It could have been. We followed it with our chasers and Charles Peak for 3 to 4 hours, a couple of twisters, more than a couple. So it was just an amazing day, and the advantage of technology. Also, you see the twister on TV, you see your neighborhood downwind, and you know to get to safety, along with the 42 tornado warnings the Weather Service in Omaha issued yesterday. The most an office has issued in 5 years. So hats off to them. They're doing the survey. We'll continue our coverage through late tonight as the tornado threat ramps up through the plains and Midwest through the afternoon.